Okay, so the first thing you want to do is go ahead and write your name and the period. And know that we will be working with yellow, turquoise, magenta, a little bit of black, and some white. So normally we use blue or red, but for skin tone it's actually best to use magenta and turquoise. So this is where you're going to be creating your skin tones. We're going to do light, light medium, medium, medium dark, and dark. And right here in this section, this is where you're going to write your notes and your steps, and this is going to be a useful tool for you to have once you actually begin your skin tones. So as you can see, you're going to start with step 1, which is this shadow part, the medium step, or the middle portion, step 2, and then lastly, you're going to be adding the highlight. So I have a formula for you that will help you with creating the color brown. And I know some of you have already kind of heard this formula already. Actually, all of you should have heard this formula already. But if you haven't, we can go ahead and do it again. So you want to go ahead and put 3 scoops of magenta into a clean couplet. So 1, 2, 3. And be generous with your amounts because you are going to need quite a bit of brown to create all of them, because every skin tone has brown. Go ahead and clean your brush. Then you want to add 2 scoops of yellow. So 3 scoops of magenta, 2 scoops of yellow. Might as well just add it all. Clean your brush. And then take a little bit of blue and mix it all together. And you should get the color brown. If your brown came out looking like baby poop green, then you need to add a little bit of red to it. If it looks too blue, then maybe you need to add a little bit of yellow. So you might have to play with the color a little bit until you end up with brown. So the first color that we're going to make is going to be very light, so fair skin. So I want to go ahead and put a little bit of brown along this bottom edge, just a few dots. And I don't have any space on this palette, so I'm just going to move that and use these right here. The next thing you want to do is add 3 scoops of white. And some skin tones are more red and some are more yellow. Mine looks a little bit reddish here or pinkish, but I'm actually more of a yellow, so the projector is lying. So 3 scoops of white into a couplet. You're going to add a little bit of the brown that we just made, and we just want a little bit. Can always add more if we need to. And go ahead and mix it in. And as you can see, that's very light. It looks a little bit yellow here on the screen, but it's actually not. Go ahead and clean your brush. And we want a pinkish skin tone for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and dip my brush in a little bit of magenta and go ahead and add it in there because we want a pinkish undertone. So now I want to go ahead and do my medium here. And just blend it all in there with the bottom color as well. And I think mine's already kind of dried out, but it's okay. You can always add more. So go ahead and add a little bit of brown to it if it's already dried out. And we are doing light fair skin. Okay. And we want to highlight at the top. So let's go ahead and put our little highlight. And just mix it all together. So because all the colors are wet, it's actually easier to blend everything. Add a little bit more brown down here. Okay, so you should see it go from light to dark. And this is our first light color. And it actually looks a lot lighter than it probably does in the projector. Okay, and this is all paint. It's the highlight. It looks like it's the actual worksheet, but it's not. So for the next color, we're going to do 2 drops of white. Let's go ahead and put all the excess in there. So for the last one, we added 3 drops. For this one, it's just 2 drops because we are going to go for a light medium tone. So it's going to be a little bit darker than this one, but not by much. And last time I added the dots first, I'm going to go ahead and mix the paint first and then add the shadow. So we want to take a little bit of brown and mix it in there. And I think I don't want to add any of the magenta to this one because we want to go for more of a yellow undertone. So just make sure that you're mixing enough for you and your partner. Clean your brush off. And we're going to start by putting that shadow down here. We don't need a lot of paint. We will mix it. And go ahead and put in your medium skin tone. And go ahead and blend it in with that shadow that we just created earlier. And I think this one's coming out a lot better. And I think I barely made enough for myself, so make sure that you are making enough for your partner. And then we're going to do the highlight at the top. Here. Move that paint around. And if you need to add a little bit more brown at the bottom to make it a bit more medium, that's okay. I think I will. Okay, So we have light, and this one's already drying a little bit, so it does look a little bit lighter. This one is all still wet, so let me go ahead and move it so it's easier for you to see. And so now we're going to go on to a medium color, and this one is going to be a lot darker. So we're going to put 2 drops of white once again. Maybe I'll put a little bit more just because I think I didn't have enough paint for last time. And for this one, you are going to add 2 drops of brown. So here's my brown. So here's 1 drop and 2 drops. And go ahead and mix it together. And if you want this one to have a little bit of a pink undertone as well, or a little bit of a yellow, just add a little bit of magenta or yellow to it. For mine, I think I'll add a little bit of yellow just to give it more of a yellow look. Okay, so we have our skin tone mixed. And once again, let's go ahead and add our shadow. And for this one, I'm going to be a little bit more generous because we do want a medium skin tone. I'm going to take the color we just made and I'm going to fill it in. Blend that shadow all the way to the edge. And it looks a little bit too dark on the screen, but I am going to blend that out because we want medium. And medium is a really wide range of skin tones. I'm kind of a medium. So go ahead and fill it all in. And then once you've done that, go ahead and add your highlight. Your highlight is the last part. And blend it all in there. And I think I might have put too much white, so I'm going to try to blend all that so it's nice and smooth. Okay, so you should see it go from lightest to light medium to medium, which is a little bit darker, and now we are going to go darker. Actually, this would be a good time to go ahead and write in the notes. So for those of you that are catching up, this is a good time to catch up, or if you are caught up, let's go ahead and write the notes. So for light, the first thing we did, I'm going to put a 1, was we made brown. And we made the color brown. Let me zoom in so that it's easier for all of you to see. We made brown by mixing 3 drops of magenta, 2 drops of yellow, and 1 drop of blue. The second step that we did, sorry, it's not even blue, it's turquoise. turquoise, not blue. So the next step that we did was we added 3 drops of white into a couplet. We added brown. So we're going to put, we added 1 drop of brown. And a drop of magenta. Okay, so add 3 drops of white into a couplet, added 1 drop of brown, and a drop of magenta to create this skin tone, the first one. For the light medium, we added, so the first step for the light medium is we added 2 drops of white into a couplet. And add 1 drop of brown. So we did 3 drops of white for the light, 2 drops of white for the medium. The next step that we did was we added 1 drop of yellow. Okay, so this one's more of a pink, this one's more of a yellow, and I think for this one we also did a little bit of a yellow. Okay, so first step for the medium was put 2 drops of white in a couplet. And add 2 drops of brown. The second step we did was add 1 drop of yellow. Okay, so we have 2 that were yellow, 1 that was pink, so the next one that we do should be a bit more on the red side. You can also add red to this one if you want to, it's up to you. So here are the steps. All of you should be writing the steps down. So for the next color, for the medium dark, we are going to take some of our brown, so this step is going to be different. So we want maybe 3 drops of brown, maybe more if you're mixing for 2 people. I'm just mixing for 1 person. You want to add a very small hint of white to it, just so that we can make it a bit thicker because the brown can be a little bit transparent sometimes, and that doesn't work for the worksheet very well. At least that's what I've noticed with the other ones that I've made. We want to take a little bit of this brown and just add it to the bottom. And then we want to take 1 drop of black. Look how much black I'm actually adding. And I want to go ahead and mix it in there. And add a little bit of that black to the bottom. Then you want to add a hint of magenta to that mix, and we're going to have a brown with a kind of reddish undertone. And you want to mix it in with that dark brown that we had. So we're doing a medium dark color. And then we want to add our highlight at the very top. And I think I added too much white. Don't add as much white as I do. Take some more of my brown and try to smooth it out. A little bit more white, just to make the highlight more noticeable. And if you have to go in and make that shadow a little bit darker, go ahead and do so. I'm going to add a little bit more black to it. Just to make it look more of a medium. Okay, so let's go ahead and write in the notes for this one, for those of you that are ready. So we put, which was 2 drops of brown in a couplet. So 2 drops of brown in a couplet. We added 1 tiny hint of white, and I'm going to say a hint because it wasn't a full drop. A tiny drop of black. Okay, and that's what we did for this one. Okay, and it's okay if your medium looks a little bit darker than this. It's okay if your medium dark looks a little bit lighter because it's medium dark, so it's also a wide range of colors. So I'm a medium, but as you can see, I look a little bit different than what I have here, and that's okay. I have others here that look a little different as well. Okay, and for the last one, you're going to take some of brown. So I'm just going to take whatever's left over of my brown. If you need to make more brown, go ahead and make more brown. You already have the notes for it. Remember, it's 3 drops of magenta, 2 drops of yellow, and 1 drop of turquoise. So I'm going to take whatever's left over here and I'm going to add 2 drops. 2 drops of black. And I'm going to go ahead and mix it all together. And I'm going to add a tiny little drop of white just to make it a little bit more solid, just because black tends to be really transparent, especially this tempera color. So that's the only reason I'm doing that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clean my brush. And we want to put a little bit of black around that shadow area. So let me go ahead and write this down for those of you that are trying to catch up. First we added 2 drops of black to brown color. Then you add a tiny drop of white and then third step was just a little bit of black for shadow area. So I'm going to take my brown that I made and I'm going to go ahead and mix it all in here before that shadow area dries. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough paint. And once again, I think it looks darker on the screen than what it actually is. I'm going to add a little bit of white. And that's why we have these little light bulbs on the top, because that shows you a range. It shows you medium going from a light medium to darker mediums and so on. Medium from a light medium to more of a mid-range medium to a darker medium. Mix in my highlight. Blend my highlight into the medium range right there, and then just add a little bit more white at the top to make it more of a highlight. Okay, so there we have it. And I'm also going to show you the other ones that I've done, just so you can see what other ranges of light look like. Medium, light, medium, and medium. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in for those of you that still need the notes.